Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Real Talk. If you're new to the channel, this is a platform for open minded individuals to come together, share their ideas, share their experiences, help each other, and try and make this world a little bit better. So, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, share, and if you want to get involved, we'll have all our information in the description. So check us out, give us a shout. If you want to be on the show, you're more than welcome to give us a shout. And today joining me, and it is my great pleasure of welcoming Rishi all the way from Kenya at the moment. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, it's a great pleasure of having you. And before we get into some good conversation and the real talk, I have to ask you, bro. I am loving your stash and your beard. Can you can you give me or the viewers any tips on how to get those curls, man? I've been trying and it just doesn't work. Any tips you can share with us?
You know what? I'll tell you the story of how I actually grew this or why I grew it.
Sure.
So we've got a mutual friend, Avit from school.
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah, so I'd gone for Avit's wedding, I think 4 years ago, and I was clean shaven at that point. I'd always been clean shaven.
Yep.
And I had to wear a turban, because he's Punjabi. So I wore a turban and I was clean shaven, and I looked like a hairless chicken, it looked so bad, and I was like, wow, I need to grow a beard. And I didn't know I could, because I had a lot of patches on my face. It wasn't, complete growth.
Yeah.
But then, I grew it, and I went through the ugly phase of a good few months, and ended up with this. So I think the only advice would be just have the patience, go through the ugly phase, and then you'll get it.
That's the key word, man. Patience. And
yes.
I don't have the patience because I shave it off. It starts getting itchy and annoying, and now we have to wear masks all the time. So
yes.
But thank you for that tip. I'm sure some people out there someone out there will use it. But let's get into the real talk now. So just a quick backstory. Rishi and I went to high school together. And then we both went on our separate paths. We went to university, and after a few months ago, I came across your page on Facebook, and I saw you sharing all these videos on meditation and the tips on how to meditate and what benefits it has. And to be honest, I was quite surprised because the Rishi I knew from school and the Rishi that I was watching on the video were two completely different people. And that's why I was so intrigued. Totally. And I wanted to get you on because I'm sure that journey or that story that you have from that transition, I you would have something interesting. So if you don't mind sharing your story and how you got here, and what you actually do so that the viewers can have an idea of what it is that we want to speak about.
Sure, absolutely. So I know that there's going to be a lot of young people watching this. So if it's okay, I'll start the story from the start, like when we were in school, so that because my story has been it's the furthest thing from the traditional model, and I just want the youth to see that no matter how bad things are, no matter how many times you fail, you can get back up. So you're right. When we're in school, when I went to university, meditation was. I mean, I never thought it was something I would do. Right. So let's start with university, right? So I did well in school. I got I think 2 A's and a B in A level. Yeah. And then went to university and everything changed. I just partied for 4 years, didn't study because I didn't know there would be maths in economics. So I didn't study at all, and I failed. It took me 4 years to fail, to not get a degree, okay? And just then, literally after I failed in that year, both my parents passed away. They both had kidney issues, and I was all of a sudden in this really dark space, because it was like, okay, I don't have my parents, I don't have this financial support to go back to, I don't have this emotional support to go back to, and I don't have a degree, so I can't actually get a job, that I'd like to get, essentially. So that was like, all of a sudden, everything changed in an instant. And I was like, okay, I need to, if I'm not going to live a mediocre life, working in just an ordinary job, and if I want to do something, I need to essentially be a bit creative. So I lied on my CV. Okay, I lied on my CV and said I've got a 2-1, 70% from uni. And I got an interview at a financial brokerage. And as soon as I went there for the interview, it was on a skyscraper in London. It was my dream job, right? And I couldn't help it. I felt really guilty. So I just told them, I said, look, I don't have a 2-1. I've actually flunked university, but I'm here now. So you can take my interview or let me go.
Yep.
And because it was a sales job, they felt how I took some initiative, and they took my interview, and I got the job, and essentially I started getting back up on my feet. I started earning money even though I didn't have a degree, and things started to look better. I felt like, okay, I'll make it, right? I'll make it. Then more drama, right? Because working in London in that environment, sales, finance, with literally 30, 40 boys my age, that is an environment where, there's a lot of partying, a lot of alcohol, a lot of drug abuse, right? So I essentially got into that lifestyle. And, before I knew it, what was just innocent partying, which started as innocent partying, led to a full-blown addiction to drugs and alcohol. So even though I was doing well, even though, my career was progressing, my life essentially, the real part of me was just falling. It was completely falling, and I dug myself into such a hole that, I'm not sure how much time we have, but just to give you an example, there would be days where I would wake up from the night before, and just with so much guilt, I would just cry with what I'd done the night before. I spent all my money, and I earned a decent amount at that time, and I'll just cry. I'd be like, wow, what is actually happening?
Yeah.
And from there, I think this is where the turning points started. It's nothing to do with me. I have to say it's completely God's grace, right? So this is after 5 years, around 2015, 2016. I felt like, what am I doing? Is this what my parents had struggled all those years for me to become this, right? And I was like, no, I need to change. I need to change. And, it had reached a point where I wanted to change, but I wasn't just doing it for fun. I was actually addicted to those substances. So coming out of that was really, really hard. And essentially, this is where the grace comes in, right? So something, said to me, read the Gita, read the Bhagavad Gita. So I started reading spiritual texts. I started meditation. I remember my granddad when I was young, he used to sit with the mala beads and just, recite mantras. And I was like, let me try doing that. And from there, essentially, that's where it started. So I started liking that. I started, enjoying that. And it started, purifying me little by little, very little by little.
Yeah.
And essentially, long story short, I've been doing it for the past five years or so, like the meditation and the spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And in that time, it's so powerful that the meditation and the good side of me essentially just won, and everything else just dropped off. It didn't happen in an instant, but it's happened slowly but surely, and now I know like it's here to stay, essentially. So, yeah, that's a story in a nutshell.
Well, all I can say is, first of all, thank you so much for sharing, because it is like the way you speak about it. I know you've shared it before and you're comfortable with it, but many people would find it a bit difficult to share something something that they went through in their life and where they are right now, how they got there. So thank you for sharing, and I'm sure a lot of viewers out there will take something from that story. It is inspirational. I found it inspirational. What I took is basically, life will throw curveballs at you. It's what you make of it. I know you said there is a higher power or something, and that's true. There is something, but it's also depending on how you take it, what you make of it. And I think you've done a really good job, and well done to turning it around, and well done to where you are and what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I believe that you can learn in two ways, from your experience and from other people's experience. So viewers out there, what did you take out of this story? There's plenty of things. Share it in the comments so that we can understand from different perspectives. And that is the whole point of this channel, to help each other and understand and take away things that we as human beings can apply in our lives. So thank you for that. Now, you mentioned that you've been practicing meditation for 5 to 6 years, right? Now, how has meditation helped you in your daily life? Because I know it is a powerful tool, but like I said, you can only learn from your or other people's experience. So with your experience, how has it helped you as to grow and as a human being?
I'm really glad you asked that question because one of the things I'm trying to do is get some proper education out there. So there is this misconception out there that meditation is a practice, a tool that will make you more calm, make you less stressed, and that's what it's used for. Okay, that could not be further from the truth. Okay,
yeah.
Because yeah. So think about it like this. We don't go into the shower to get wet. We go to clean ourselves, right? Getting wet just happens naturally, right?
That's a great metaphor.
In the same way, meditation, feeling calm and relaxed. We don't meditate to feel calm and relaxed. Feeling calm and relaxed just happen naturally. The real benefits of meditation, and this is, I'm just sharing from my personal experience, are life-changing, completely life-changing. I mean, for me, they have been completely life-changing, right? So,
of course.
I'll give you a few examples. Firstly, you get a lot of clarity. The way that we live our lives right now, we're just going with the motion, going with the flow of things, right? And we have this follow the herd mentality. I'm going to do what everybody's doing, follow the model, go to uni, get a job, get married, get kids, blah, 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 all these things. And look, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you truly want. But so many of us, we are in a job or on a career path that is not really fulfilling us. But we stick there because it pays the bills, and we need to pay the bills. Or for some people, we need to have a certain lifestyle to keep up with what my neighbors are doing and what society is doing.
Yeah.
But then we're going to work every day and suffering because we don't like it, right?
Yeah.
So meditation, it gives us that clarity, first of all, that what do I actually want to do with my life, because unless we sit down and actually look within, all the answers are there, right?
Yeah.
We're never going to be able to know what we actually want to do. So that's one thing. It gives us the clarity that, what am I good at? What would be fulfilling for me to do, right?
Yeah.
And how would I go about doing that? How would I get out from my current situation to what I want to do, essentially, right? So that clarity, number one, clarity is important. But then number two is, once you've got the clarity, what prevents people, again, is what will people think? What will society say?
Yeah.
This is the number one dream killer out there.
Yeah.
And meditation,
I agree with you with that, 100%.
Right? And some people that are advising us, telling us not to do it, they may have our best interest in heart. They are our parents and our aunties and uncles who want our security and these things. But essentially what meditation does is it gives you this you connect to your true self. You connect to your the power that is deep within you, and essentially it helps you just not care what people think and follow, be true to yourself and follow what it is that you want, right?
Yeah.
And how it does that, how do you go from caring about what other people think to not caring, is it really increases your faith, okay? Faith in God, faith in the universe, faith in energy, however you want to call it, right? It increases this faith of yours, and you become very optimistic. You start having an abundance mindset, essentially, and you don't see any reasons why things will not work out. You don't. You really don't.
Yeah.
And that courage comes from there. So, clarity, courage to actually do what you want.
Yeah.
And this optimistic, abundance mindset. And I mean, if everybody had that, they would, the world would be a different place, right?
Yep.
So that's a real benefit, in my opinion, from meditation.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing those points. Really good points. And I haven't meditated much, but I can clearly understand what meditation would bring to one's life. And I'll definitely, at some point, I have done like short meditation, like I did like a gratitude meditation last week. That was really powerful, just 5 minutes. But I mentioned this in my last video also because that's what an impact it had on me. But I'll definitely give it a try. But I saw one of your videos sticking on the meditation, that you like basically you wake up at 4 a.m. and then that's where you start your routine, right? Now that point scares me because I struggle to wake up at 8 a.m. So like, how do you do it? How do you wake up at 4 a.m.? What's your morning routine like? How does it all flow from the morning till the night?
Okay, great. So, look, firstly, I think we don't need to like scare ourselves and say that we're going to wake up 3-4 hours earlier than we normally do. I think slow and steady is definitely the way. So the way I started was, I used to wake up at 6, then I started waking up at 5:30 to meditate. Then I enjoyed the practice so much I could sit for longer. Then I started waking up at 5, and then from there 4:30, and now it's around 3:45, right?
Oh wow!
But
I go to sleep at that time. So,
But it's only because I love the practice so much, right? I really love the practice. So my morning routine is really simple, right? So let's say I wake up at 4. I just take some time to freshen up essentially by 4:30, brush my teeth, empty my stomach, which is really important before doing the yogic practices. They must be done on an empty stomach. And then I start. So I'll do meditation for around not that long, maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Okay.
And then from there I used to go to the gym. I've stopped that. I do yoga now. I do a practice called Surya Namaskar, which is sun salutations. So you are essentially it's a full body workout, and you are praying to the sun at the same time, asking that you essentially illumine the whole earth. In the same way, give me energy, give me your strength, and give me that radiance. So it's a spiritual exercise, and unlike going to the gym where you feel tired at the end, this actually energizes you, right? So it's a change in perspective completely. So I do that, and then I do some extra breath work for about 20-30 minutes, some pranayama exercises. That I don't. I mean, the reason I do it is because in the past, 10 years of my partying, I've done a lot of damage to my internal organs. So that is essentially, oxygenating them, healing them, and rejuvenating them essentially. So that's why I give that extra bit. So the routine is about 2 hours to 2.5 hours. It varies depending on how much time I have as well. But yeah, that's the routine pretty much.
Well, that is dedication and commitment, and I'm sure anything with dedication and commitment you can get there. So I'm going to start waking up at 7:30 and take it from there.
Nice.
So you have mentioned that partying has been a big. You used to do a lot of partying, and drugs and alcohol have been a big part of your story, of your journey. So now that you've stopped using them, and what advice can you give our viewers or anyone watching the show on how to reduce it or completely quit, if you have any, and what you've learned from your experience?
For sure. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. So, look, one thing I'll say, right, is there's nothing that I can say to anybody that will make them do it. Ultimately, no matter how we go about it, whether we go and seek help or whether we go down the spiritual path or whatever it is, ultimately there needs to be a desire from within to do it, because nobody can make us do it. You can take the horse to the river, but you can't make it drink, right?
But not make it drink it, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So having said that, if the thought is in your mind that I maybe want to reduce my drinking or anything else, or I want to quit, but even if the thought is there that I would like to reduce, that is great. That is essentially your inner self speaking to you and saying that, look, maybe you'll be better off without this, because it knows what you need to live the life that you want. So we should not wait to hit rock bottom, like I did, to quit. But why should we do that? If there is an inclination, we should essentially listen to that and start doing it. So how do you do it? How do you go about actually quitting, right? So, a few practical things I would say. In my experience, the most difficult part of stopping, especially alcohol and drugs, is not the stopping of using the substance. It is the actual society, like peer pressure around it. Because it's these days it's just normal. You go to work and then you go and have drinks on the weekend. You go for drinks and you get smashed, and then you're hungover in the weekend, and you come back to work. So that's the cycle, right? That's a cycle essentially.
Yeah.
And if you want to quit, essentially, what your that person inside is saying to you is, I don't want to live like this anymore, right? And this is again where meditation becomes really helpful, right? Because when you meditate, so what happened with me is I started thinking about, okay, so what I'm living my life right now, I'm drinking, doing these drugs, being hungover in the weekend, and then I come back to work on Monday, and I'm not happy, right? I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. So let's fast forward this life by 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, and what will I be doing then? I'll be essentially time to retire, or time to essentially say bye-bye to this world, and have done nothing. Apart from consuming, I've essentially done nothing on this planet, not been able to contribute anything, right? And that is what we should be scared of, not what people are saying about why you're being boring for not having a beer. What we need to be worried about is when we reach that point, 50 years later, whatever it is, right? And we look back at our life, is it regret for not doing what we always wanted to do? Or is it gratitude and pride that, wow, thank you for letting me do all this, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I shut down that voice that was telling me, to be scared or whatever, and I did it, right? So just taking the bull by the horns essentially, and just going for it.
That's really good. The points you made, and it's very especially for the youth. What you mentioned about peer pressure. I mean, it's only when you get older that you realize that you are being pressured to do things that you maybe necessarily wouldn't have done if that pressure wasn't there, or you wouldn't have done as much if that pressure wasn't there. So I think that's a really great point, and you mentioned it a couple of times, and I fully agree with it about us not caring so much about what other people think, and listening to that voice inside, and you said that becomes clearer through meditation. And yeah.
And
So
can I just say one
sure.
more thing on that, just to give them a different perspective. So think about it like this, right? Peer pressure comes in all forms. One of the pressures we face, or young boys and girls face today in this Instagram age, is how do I look? My body, my clothes, all these things, and they essentially dress up. Not often it's just to impress, to get the likes and to impress who is out there, right?
yeah.
Now think about this for a second. People, right? We need to realize that people could not care less, because when other people are walking on the road and they are all garbed up in what they're wearing, well, what's going through their mind?
Yeah.
All they're thinking about is, what does that person think of me? Oh, that person's looking at me. What do they think? What do they think? Mm-hmm. So they're so engrossed in themselves and what other people think of them, they don't have the time or the mental space to care about what you're wearing or what you're doing with your life, right? And when I realized this, when I was trying to stop drinking, and I went from being the person whose house the parties used to happen at, to the person being, saying I'm not going to drink now, in that work environment of 30, 40 boys my age, right? And what I realized is when I stuck to it, right? First, they make fun of me for a bit, what are you doing? Why aren't you drinking? Why are you being a this? Why are you being a that? And I just stuck to it, right? I said, look, I don't want to drink. Just you drink. I'll come and sit with you, right? I just want to have a good time, have a chat, and go home. And a few times of doing that, and when they can see that you are essentially happy doing what you're doing, and you're not going to budge, the script flips completely. And then what happens is people start coming to you and saying, Rishi, you know what? I've actually been trying to quit myself. I've been trying to reduce. How do you actually do it? How do you actually do it? And all of a sudden, they respect you so much because you've chosen to do something different and gone through with it, not caring what other people think. And then you realize, like, wow, all these people, regardless of, they're following the crowd right now. They're doing the drinking and partying. They're doing, wearing clothes for other people. But deep down, they may not want to do that. Deep down, they may want to do something different, and they're just scared. And instead of why don't we support each other instead of telling each other to do go down that path? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
of course, man. That's the thing. Basically, we're scared of being ourselves.
Yes.
And that for me is one of the biggest crimes that we commit as in our daily lives, is we hide ourselves to please others. And that for me, I always say, and I always try to be who I am and truly am, and be true to yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think.
Yes.
Judgment will be there. Not everyone is going to like you. We have to accept this. Not everyone is going to like what you do, what you wear. There'll always be people who will have judgments. We just need to get to a point where we can block that out and basically not care that much to affect or make a change about who we really are.
Yes.
So those are some really, really great tips, Rishi. Thank you so much. Let's move on. And I saw like on your Facebook that you have a new video out for your course. Can you just tell us a little bit more about it, what it's about, and like how can people get in touch with you, or like how to get access to the courses?
Sure.
So if you can give us some information, and we will put all that information in the description. So if you miss it or you don't understand, you can just click on the links. So yeah, please let us know, or let the viewers know how they can get in touch with you.
Cool. Okay. So the course that I've created is something very, very close to my heart. Let me tell you the story behind it, and I'll tell you what it is, right?
Sure.
So
yeah.
I think people who watch my videos will know that I spent the last year, after quitting my job, I spent the last year in India, and I went there essentially before I started teaching meditation. properly in the world. I wanted to expand my horizon and learn different practices besides what I was doing myself, because I believe that there is no one technique for everyone. We're all different, and we have to lean on our personality and choose a path in that way. So I wanted to broaden my horizon, and I went to learn. I went to learn in India from different teachers, essentially. And after doing all that, and gathering up my knowledge from the past 5 years of practice, and it's practically all I've read about in my free time and studied and practiced. I decided to create a course. Okay, so this course was, I thought I had a limited budget. I just quit my job. I thought I was going to film it in a ordinary yoga studio, just do the videos and get it out, right? Instead, the universe had so much more in store for me. Somehow I met the videographer that I chose to work with was staying with this guru in the middle of the jungle in Rishikesh, which is the foothills of the Himalayas. And this
must be beautiful out there. Oh, I would love to go there one day.
Yeah, it was magical. It was really magical. So this Guruji, essentially, he spent the last 50, 60 years of his life living in that jungle alone. And for whatever practice he does, like fire ceremonies and things like that, he doesn't take any money. He just takes food, so grains, flour, things like that, and he feeds the animals in that jungle. Peacocks, elephants, monkeys, you name it, right? And that's what he's been doing. And he says that whatever powers I have, they come because I feed these animals. That's how I have, I can do what I can do. And I happened to meet him, and he's like, you're going to do this course. This is a great topic. Why don't you just film it here, where I'm staying? And I was like, filming a course on meditation and yogic practices at the home of, such a divine soul in the middle.
Nature itself.
In the middle of the Himalayan jungles, opposite the river Ganges. I was like, this is just a sign from the universe that I'm meant to be doing this, right? So essentially, I've spent 3 months there and filmed the course. It was by far the most beautiful experience of my life. If I don't top that in my life, I'll be happy. It was amazing. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So the course essentially looks at, it's an A to Z for meditation. So it's called Reshape Your Reality.
Okay.
How to meditate like the ancient yogis and transform your life. Okay. So in a nutshell, what the course covers is obviously what everybody's interested in is, how do you meditate, right? What are the types of meditation? How to choose a technique that's right for you? Mm-hmm. What is the art of the practice? How do you go about doing it? Some guided meditations. So of course, all that is there, but that is just 20-30% of the course. 70% of the course focuses on what people ignore or actually don't know about, right? Which is the preparation before we can meditate. Meditation in the science of self-realization is step number 6, limb number 6 out of 8. The first 5 limbs are just preparation. So there's rules on how to live for a peaceful mind. And then there is preparing the body, preparing the mind, cleansing, purifying, doing breath work, doing yogic practices that are going to essentially cleanse you and make you an instrument to connect to that universal energy. So it's, for somebody that's seriously interested in meditation, that course will be, it's what I wanted when I was starting out, 6 years ago. So it's, you'll love it. You'll totally love it. So that's the course. Does that answer your...
Okay. Thank you for sharing again. And for viewers out there, please check it out. From the short videos that you do on Facebook, I've seen you're really great, and it's easy to understand and follow what you're saying.
Thank you.
Even though I might not understand all of it, but it makes a lot of sense. So viewers, please check it out. And then how basically can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Sure.
Yeah. So please share that with us so that our viewers can get in touch
with
you.
Great. Okay. So my main website is meditatewithrishi.com, and then on there you'll get the information. You can check out the course. You can see all the videos that are going to be in there. I'm also running classes. So I do online classes on Zoom. It's usually Wednesdays and Saturdays, but the schedule is always there. So you can just go pick a date and just see me on the Zoom call, essentially. And if you're in Kenya, if you're in Nairobi, I'm here at the moment, and I'm going to be running physical classes for the next 6 months or so. So definitely, you're welcome to join one of those. And another thing which I think will be good for the viewers to know is, maybe not for everyone, but for a select few, is I do life coaching. And so I'm very selective about who I take on, right? So it's very exclusive.
Okay.
It's very exclusive in that sense. Like, they have to be really, really open and ready to actually make the changes they need to. But it's got a different approach, right? So it's not the traditional coaching where you're setting goals and you're trying to achieve them. I feel like that's coming from a place of trying to control things. So what I do is different, essentially. So we look at 2 or 3 main things, essentially, is looking at life purpose discovery. What is it that you, using your unique skills and talents, could do in this world and make a living out of it. Then number 2 is really upgrading your inner technology, raising your vibrations so that you become a different instrument altogether. And when you are an upgraded instrument, essentially, you can attract the life that you want. So learning what we've never been taught, learning how to attract the things that are right for you to live your ultimate life, right? So that's what I cover in that coaching. So they can book a consultation, and then if it's a good fit, then I would take that on. But that's there as well.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for sharing. Viewers, please check him out. Check out his website, meditatewithrishi.com. And you might find something there that might add some value to your life, some clarity to your life. And as Rishi has mentioned, the benefits of meditation and how it has improved his life and brought a lot of clarity, giving him the courage to do what he's doing today. So thank you so much, Rishi, for coming on. I really, really appreciate your time. As you can see, the sun's coming out, so I need to go to my day job, which is, I do have an actual job. It is work time, so I need to switch this off and then switch on my day job. So thank you so much, bro. And I hope to have you back on again very soon.
For sure. And I just want to say one thing before we close. Like, thank you, first of all, for having me on. It's really humbling. It's great to connect after all these years.
I know. It's been a while.
And I love what you're doing. I love that you started to actually do this, because it's beautiful. This is what we need. Just putting out positivity in the world, man. Which is your tagline. And it's great. So I'm really glad that you started this, and I have no doubt that you're gonna blow up. You're gonna be awesome. So.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the encouragement. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And if you're still with us and still watching, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support. We are trying to make a positive difference in the world. And please get in touch with us. And take care, everybody. Stay safe. And hope to see you all very soon.
Thank you. Namaste.